As you can see, on the bench here is an Elna Zigzag. This is like the Supermatic I had, same family of machines. This one is marked bent frame, fell off of a table, and I have it because it's supposed to be not repairable, but I grabbed it because I'm going to look at the length control, because someone messaged me about their Supermatic and having some issue with the length control in it. So I'm going to open this up and see if it can get adjusted or can help out on the Supermatic length control. I have rotated this. It's definitely got a lot of flats on the drive tire, so it's been sitting a bit. It's got an interesting United States Testing Company seal of approval on the front and a good housekeeping seal on the back. So this is definitely a machine that they were gonna sell as a really fancy machine because they got all those stamps for it. But I'm gonna take these covers off here. There's these two screws, and I believe this cover lifts off, and we'll see where this linkage goes. So the bed cover, took the two screws out, lifted it off of the Elna Zigzag here, and as we turn the machine, there's this gear and crank. This gear and crank provides the motion for the feed, and when I slide the length control just has a long rod down the inside of the machine, and it moves this lever back and forth. And then that lever is on this link, and that switches it from forward to reverse. So center it, that's at 0 feed, and we got reverse feed, and now forward. And then the lifting and lowering of the feed dogs is from a cam on the underside of this gear. So I'm going to move the camera and see if we can peer at that a little closer. Alright, the lift and lower for the feed dogs. You can see as I rotate the machine, this lower link here is what goes up and down, and it rides on the underside of that crank gear where there's a cam that pushes, or a lobe that pushes it up and down. That's the feed dog up and down from pushing on that cam connection. While we're poking around at this Elna Zigzag to learn about a few things in the way it's put together, I am going to pop the wiring plug off the side so that if you have a wiring issue, you might know how to do it, or how to fix it. Let's see, how many, I don't remember, I think I've done a couple Elnas, or I've seen a couple Elnas. One of them was like this and had the socket on the side here for the 2-prong plug, and then the machine, this actually has a ton of wire in it, cool. So on the back side here, it's got the light switch here, and then so from the power socket it wires like anything else. One wire to the light switch, the second wire goes from the light switch up to the lamp, and then the second wire goes to the knee controller inside the machine, and then from the other side of the socket here is a wire to the light and the other wire to the knee controller. And then there is a resistor on, a very high value resistor between the two sides here. That high value resistor is a filter for RF. And it is a filter that is more reliable than capacitors of this age would have been. So this machine, they put an RF filtering resistor in there so that when you start and stop the motor, when the motor stops, it doesn't make as much RF noise for like TV and radio interference. This machine, other machines of this age, if they had that RF stuff, might have a capacitor or a condenser in there, and that also works, but with time those get old and quit working. So the little resistor there, it will constantly draw, you know, a tiny amount of current, but it does allow for some work to happen on the, or it does prevent some of the radio interference. So yeah, when you rewire one of these, you just have to get this panel out and connect the wires that are in there. Inside, rarely does the wiring go bad. The wire to the light socket on this machine is in very good shape, and I haven't taken the panel off to look in at the motor, but the motor wiring hardly ever goes bad either, because once they're inside, the wiring is protected from damage and corrosion. More access for wiring on the Elna. There were 3 screws in the bottom here that hold the bottom plate onto the machine. Oh, and there is a big capacitor in here for motor start. I haven't seen that before, or I hadn't opened the bottom of any of the Elnas I had. But as you can see, 3 connectors. Here's the back side of the wire panel. This shaft is the speed controller for the knee bar. And this capacitor, apparently when the machine was dropped, that capacitor shifted and is touching the knee bar, which it shouldn't do. What is that? That is a... Oh yeah, that is a multi-pole capacitor, which means it's probably being used for motor start as well. I don't have the wiring diagram for this machine, but if this capacitor had gone bad, it would have leaked out of it in some way. It may go bad anytime. The good news is that you don't really have to... These capacitors are very easy to replace. It's got all the ratings marked on it, which is nice. And let's see, I've never looked in this before. So, looks like the knee controller here is... spring loaded here, and then where is the controller it's pushing on? Oh, it looks like there's a carbon pile in there that's hidden. So, all right. Well, oh, the other nice thing about opening up the machine base like that is that now there's side access to this gear for the feed if you need access to that.